Admiral Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of Earth's largest space station, watching the impossible sight before him. 12 massive alien ships hung in space above Earth like dark mountains. Each one was 10 times bigger than humanity's largest vessel. They had appeared without warning just 6 hours ago. "Sir, the aliens are sending another message," said Lieutenant Ji-hoon Lee from his station. The young officer's hands shook slightly as he worked the controls. "Put it through," Admiral Park said. His voice stayed calm, but inside his chest, his heart beat fast. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and it was not going well. The main screen flickered. A tall gray creature appeared. It had 4 arms and eyes like black stones. When it spoke, the translation computer made its voice sound cold and flat. "Humans of the 3rd planet," the alien said. "I am First Speaker Veltar of the Galactic Confederation. You will listen and obey. Your species has achieved faster-than-light travel. This means you must now follow galactic law. You have 3 choices: submit to our rule, become our servants, or be destroyed." Admiral Park felt anger rise in his throat, but he kept his face blank. Behind him, other officers whispered to each other. Some looked scared, others looked angry like him. "We give you 30 of your days to decide," the alien continued. "All young species choose submission. It is the only smart choice. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. No species has ever refused us." The screen went dark. The bridge became very quiet. "Get me President Yoon-ji Lim," Admiral Park ordered, "and call an emergency meeting with all the colony governors." While they waited for the connection, Dr. So-young Kim entered the bridge. She was Earth's best scientist for studying alien life. Her face was pale, and she carried a data pad full of information. "Admiral," she said quietly, "I've been studying their transmission data. These aliens have done this before, many times." "What do you mean?" Admiral Park asked. "Their computers sent extra information with the message. I think it was an accident. The data shows records of 47 other species. All of them submitted to the aliens." Dr. Kim's voice got quieter. "The aliens make them work as slaves. They take their resources, their people, their freedom. Some species tried to rebel later, but the aliens destroyed their homeworlds." Admiral Park felt cold. "How long do the species stay as slaves?" "Forever," Dr. Kim said. "The oldest slave species has served for 2,000 years. The communication system beeped. President Lim's face appeared on screen. She looked tired but determined. "Madam President," Admiral Park said, "you saw the alien message?" "The whole world saw it," President Lim replied. "Every major city is having emergency meetings. The colonies are calling for instructions. What's our situation?" "Bad," Admiral Park said honestly. "Their ships are much bigger and more advanced than ours. Dr. Kim found evidence that they've enslaved 47 other species. No one has ever refused them and survived." President Lim was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke in a firm voice. "Admiral, prepare a response message. We'll give them our answer." "Madam President," Dr. Kim said quickly, "maybe we should think about this more. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. They could destroy Earth easily." "Dr. President," Lim said, "my grandfather fought in World War III. My father fought in the Mars colonial wars. They taught me something important. There are things worth dying for. Freedom is one of them." Over the next 6 hours, messages flew between Earth and all 12 human colonies. The debate was fierce but short. Colony after colony voted the same way. Mars colony, no submission. Europa Station, no submission. New Sol colony, no submission. The vote was unanimous. Ambassador Kyung-mi Choi arrived at the space station 12 hours later. She was Earth's best diplomat, a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had negotiated peace between the colonies during the Mining Rights War. "Admiral," she said as she stepped onto the bridge, "I've come to deliver Earth's answer to these aliens." "Are you sure about this, Ambassador?" Admiral Park asked. "There's no going back once we refuse them." "I've never been more sure of anything," Ambassador Choi replied. "Shall we call them?" Admiral Park nodded to Lieutenant Lee. Open a channel to the alien fleet. The same gray alien appeared on screen. Humans, it said. Have you made your decision? Do you submit to the Galactic Confederation? Ambassador Choi stepped forward. She looked tiny compared to the alien on screen, but her voice was strong and clear. First Speaker Veltar, she said. I am Ambassador Kyungmi Choi speaking for all of humanity. We have made our decision. The alien leaned forward slightly. Good. You have chosen wisely. Prepare for our arrival teams. They will organize your transition to slave status. No, Ambassador Choi said simply. The alien stopped moving. Its black eyes stared at the screen. What did you say? I said no. Humanity refuses to submit. We refuse to become your slaves. We choose to remain free. For several long seconds, the alien said nothing. When it finally spoke, its voice sounded confused. This is not possible. All species submit. It is the natural order. The strong rule the weak. Maybe that's how it works in your galaxy, Ambassador Choi said. But humans don't kneel to anyone. Not to kings, not to gods, and certainly not to you. The alien's forearms moved in what might have been anger. You do not understand. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have ships that can destroy star systems. You have nothing that can stand against us. Then you'll have to destroy us, Ambassador Choi said calmly. Because we will never submit. Impossible, the alien said. No species chooses death over submission. Then you're about to learn something new about humans, Admiral Park said, stepping beside the ambassador. We'd rather die fighting than live as slaves. The alien stared at them for a long moment. You are insane. Maybe, Ambassador Choi smiled. But we're free. The alien cut the transmission. The bridge was silent again. Well, said Admiral Park. I guess we're at war with the galaxy. Sir, Lieutenant Lee said from his station, I'm receiving reports from the colonies. They're all beginning military preparations. Dr. Kim looked up from her datapad. Admiral, if we're really going to fight them, I have some ideas. I've been studying their ship designs. They have weaknesses. Then, let's get to work, Admiral Park said. He looked out at the alien ships hanging over Earth like a dark promise. They expect us to surrender like everyone else did. Time to show them what happens when they threaten humanity. Far below them, Earth began to prepare for a war no one thought they could win. General Taehyun Kang stared at the holographic display showing Earth's defenses. The numbers were not good. Humanity had 68 warships, 42 space stations, and 12 colony worlds. The aliens had threatened them with a correction. Fleet that would have over 300 ships, sir, said his aide, Captain Woo Jin Han. The engineering teams are asking about Project Defiance. How many civilian ships do you want converted to military use? All of them, General Kang said, without hesitation. Every cargo hauler, every passenger liner, every mining ship. If it can fly in space, we make it a weapon. Engineer Bo-ram Yoon looked up from her workstation. She had been working for 18 hours straight, designing new weapon systems. General, I have the first batch of modifications ready. We can't match their firepower, but we can make our ships much harder to predict. Show me, General Kang said. Bo-ram activated another hologram. It showed a human cargo ship, but now it bristled with weapons and armor. We're installing AI systems that learn from each battle. Every time they fight the aliens, they get smarter. The aliens might be more advanced, but their systems don't adapt like ours will. What about speed? Asked Commander Sung-ho Nam. He led Earth's special forces and was planning boarding actions against alien ships. That's the best part. Bo-ram smiled for the first time in days. Our ships will be much smaller and faster. We can't win a straight fight, so we won't fight straight. We'll use swarm tactics. Send 100 small ships against every big alien ship. General Kang nodded slowly. Like insects attacking an elephant. Exactly. One wasp can't hurt an elephant, but 1,000 wasps can kill it. President Yoon-ji Lim's voice came through the communication system. General Kang, report to the command center. We're receiving updates from the colonies. The command center buzzed with activity. Officers moved between workstations, coordinating the largest military buildup in human history. President Lim stood at the center watching data streams from 12 different worlds. "Madam President," General Kang said as he entered. "General, the colonies are exceeding our expectations. Mars colony has converted their entire civilian fleet. That's over 200 ships. Europa Station is building underwater bases to hide their population. New Sol colony is training every adult for combat." General Kang felt a spark of hope. "What about resources? The asteroid miners are working around the clock. We'll have enough raw materials, but we need more time to build weapons." "We have 22 days left," General Kang said. "It will have to be enough." Commander Nam stepped forward. "Sir, I have a proposal for special operations. While the main fleet fights the aliens in space, my teams can infiltrate their ships if we can capture their technology." "Too dangerous," President Lim said. "We can't risk our best soldiers." "Madam President," Commander Nam replied respectfully, "we're already risking everything. My people know the odds. We volunteer for this." "General," Kang looked at the tactical displays. Every simulation showed the same result. Humanity would lose a conventional war. They needed every advantage they could get. "Do it," he decided. "But train double the usual number of teams. We'll need backups." Over the following days, Earth transformed. Factories that once built cars now built missiles. Shipyards that built pleasure cruisers now built fighters. Every human settlement became a fortress. Dr. So Young Kim worked with Boram to study captured alien technology from their first message. The aliens had been careless and left data fragments in their transmission. "Their ships are incredibly advanced," Dr. Kim reported to the military council. "But they're also predictable. They've been using the same designs for centuries. They never needed to innovate because no one ever fought back." "What does that mean for us?" asked Admiral Park, who had been promoted to Supreme Fleet Commander. "It means they'll underestimate us," Boram said excitedly. "Their tactics haven't changed in hundreds of years, but our AI systems are designed to create new strategies every single battle." General Kang pulled up intelligence reports. "What about their psychology? How do they think?" Dr. Kim paused. "They're not cruel, just efficient. They see other species like humans see farm animals. Useful, but not equal. They expect everyone to surrender because that's what always happens." "Then we use that against them," Commander Nam said. "They'll expect us to fight like their previous enemies. Defensive, careful, trying to minimize losses." "But we won't fight like that," General Kang realized. "We'll be aggressive, reckless. We'll do things that make no sense to them." "President." Lim looked at the reports flowing in from across human space. Every colony was working at maximum capacity. Children too young to fight were learning to maintain equipment. Elderly people were teaching survival skills. Even the sick were helping, where they could. "General," she said quietly, "what are our real chances?" General Kang was quiet for a moment. "Honestly? Very bad. They have better ships, better weapons, better technology. If this was a fair fight, we'd lose." "But?" President Lim asked. "But they've never fought anyone who refused to give up. Every other species surrendered when the situation looked hopeless. We're going to keep fighting even when we're losing. That might confuse them enough to give us chances." Tech specialist Hei Rin-O raised her hand from her workstation. She was young, barely 25, but she understood alien computer systems better than anyone. "Sir, I've been studying their communication protocols. I think I can hack into their systems during battle. Not to control them, but to confuse them. Make their targeting systems less accurate." "How?" asked Boram. "Their computers talk to each other constantly. They share targeting data, tactical information, everything. If I can inject false data into their network during a fight, their own ships might target each other," General Kang finished. "Brilliant." As the deadline approached, humanity's preparations reached a fever pitch. The orbital shipyards launched new ships every few hours. Most were small fighters, built quickly and cheaply. Each one carried a human pilot and enough firepower to damage an alien vessel. Commander Nam's special forces trained in zero-gravity combat, learning to board alien ships. They practiced with mock-ups built from Dr. Kim's data about alien ship layouts. Remember, Commander Nam told his troops, we're not trying to capture their ships. We're trying to cause chaos. Plant explosives, disrupt their systems, make them panic. Every second they spend dealing with us is a second they're not shooting at our main fleet. General Kang stood in his command center on the last day before the alien deadline expired. Reports came in from across human space. The colonies were ready. The fleets were in position. Civilian populations were hidden in underground shelters. Sir, Captain Han reported, we have 1,500 combat vessels ready for battle. It's not enough to match their firepower, but it's more than they'll expect. Good, General Kang said. He opened a communication channel to all human forces. This is General Kang to all units. Tomorrow the aliens return expecting us to surrender. Instead, they'll find us ready to fight. We can't promise victory, but we can promise that we'll never give up. Make them remember that humans don't kneel to anyone. Across human space, 1,500 ship captains acknowledged the message. Thousands of special forces soldiers checked their equipment. Millions of civilians said goodbye to their families and took positions in defense bunkers. Earth had given its answer to the galaxy. Now it was time to fight for the right to remain free. Fleet Admiral Dongwon Seo watched the alien fleet approach through his ship's main display. 300 massive warships moved toward Earth like a dark tide. Each alien vessel was the size of a city, bristling with weapons that could destroy. Human ships with single shots, sir, reported Lieutenant Young Mai Park from the sensor station. They're moving in standard battle formation. Very orderly, very predictable. Just like Dr. Kim said they would, Admiral Seo replied. They expect us to meet them in traditional formation too. Signal all ships. Execute swarm pattern alpha. Across human space, 1,500 ships broke from their neat formations. Instead of moving in organized lines like traditional fleets, they scattered like angry insects. Small fighters mixed with converted cargo ships. Fast attack boats darted between larger vessels. To the aliens, it must have looked like chaos. First speaker Veltar's voice came across all communication channels. Humans, this is your last chance. Surrender now and we will be merciful. Continue this foolishness and we will destroy your entire species. Admiral Seo opened a reply channel. This is Fleet Admiral Dongwon Seo of the Earth Defense Force. We told you our answer. Come and take our freedom if you can. The first alien ships opened fire. Massive energy beams lanced out, striking where human formations should have been. But the human ships had scattered. Most of the alien shots hit empty space. All ships attack pattern Wasp Swarm, Admiral Seo ordered. What happened next had never been seen in galactic warfare. Instead of fighting ship to ship in orderly battles, hundreds of small human vessels swarmed individual alien ships. 10, 20, sometimes 50 human fighters would attack one alien vessel at the same time from different directions. The aliens tried to target the small ships, but there were too many. While their big guns tried to hit one fighter, 3 others would attack from behind. Human ships darted in close, fired everything they had, then sped away before the aliens could respond. Tech specialist Hei Renault sat in her modified freighter, fingers flying over computer controls. She had hacked into the alien communication network and was sending false information. Target lock on human flagship, she made the alien computers report to each other, but the coordinates she sent pointed to empty space or sometimes to other alien ships. The result was chaos in the alien fleet. Their weapons fired at nothing, or worse, accidentally hit their own allies. Confusion spread through their formations. On the surface of Earth's moon, Colonel Min Jung Park led the defense of Luna Base. The aliens had sent landing ships expecting easy victory against a small garrison. Instead, they found every human civilian had been trained for combat. Remember, Colonel Park told her troops over the radio, they expect us to surrender when things look bad. We don't surrender. We fight until we win or we die. The alien ground forces were disciplined and well-equipped, but they had never fought an enemy that refused to retreat. When human positions were overrun, the soldiers didn't fall back. They kept fighting. When ammunition ran low, they used improvised weapons. When those failed, they fought with their bare hands. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had superior determination. For every human position they captured, they paid a terrible price. Colonel Park's forces turned every building into a fortress, every corridor into a killing ground. Above Luna, Captain Wu Jin Han piloted his converted cargo ship toward an alien battleship. His vessel was tiny compared to the enemy, armed with only basic weapons, but it carried something the aliens didn't expect: a human willing to die for freedom. "This is Captain Han to all human forces," he said calmly into his radio. "They want to know what human determination looks like. I'm about to show them." He aimed his ship directly at the alien vessel's bridge and pushed his engines to maximum power. The aliens tried to destroy him, but he was too close and moving too fast. His ship struck the alien battleship like a missile. The explosion destroyed both vessels, but the psychological effect was enormous. The aliens had never faced an enemy that would deliberately sacrifice their ships and crews. In their culture, preservation of resources was the highest priority. The idea of throwing away valuable ships to damage the enemy was unthinkable, but humans thought differently. "All ships pattern Han," Admiral Seo ordered, naming the new tactic after the brave captain. "If you're badly damaged, take an alien with you." Across the battle, human captains who found their ships crippled turned them into weapons. They rammed alien vessels, detonated their engines near enemy formations, used their ships as shields to protect other human vessels. The aliens began to panic. This wasn't warfare as they understood it. These humans fought like creatures possessed, caring nothing for their own survival. First, Speaker Veltar appeared on the communication channels again. His calm voice now sounded confused and angry. "Humans, stop this madness. You cannot win. You are only destroying yourselves." "We're destroying you too," Admiral Seo replied. "Look at your losses." It was true. The alien fleet had started with 300 ships. Now they had lost 40, with dozens more damaged. Meanwhile, human losses were heavy but not decisive. The swarm tactics were working. Deep inside an alien battleship, Commander Sung Ho Nam led his Special Forces team through corridors filled with strange technology. They had boarded during the confusion of the main battle, using the chaos to slip past alien defenses. "Plant the charges here," he ordered his team. "And here. We want their whole power system to fail." "Sir," said Sergeant Ki Woo Lim, "the alien crew is trying to seal us in. Then we fight our way out," Commander Nam said simply. "Or we die trying. Either way, this ship won't be shooting at our people much longer." The team moved through the alien vessel like ghosts, sabotaging systems and planting explosives. When alien security forces found them, they fought with desperate courage. They knew they probably wouldn't survive, but every minute they stayed alive was another minute of damage to the enemy. Back on Luna, Colonel Park received reports that most of her positions had fallen. Her forces were surrounded, low on ammunition, and facing overwhelming odds. "Colonel," her communications officer said, "Command is ordering all surviving units to retreat to the underground shelters. Tell Command that Luna Base does not retreat." Colonel Park replied, "We hold this ground." "But sir, we can't win. There are too many of them." Colonel Park smiled grimly. "Sergeant, we're not here to win. We're here to make them pay such a terrible price that they remember this battle forever." The defense of Luna became legendary. Human forces fought for every room, every corridor, every inch of ground. They used booby traps, ambush tactics, and sheer determination to inflict casualties far beyond what the aliens expected. When the last human position finally fell, the aliens had captured Luna Base, but it had cost them 3,000 soldiers and 6 landing ships. For a small moon base that should have fallen in hours, the price had been enormous. In space, the battle continued. Human ships swarmed alien vessels like angry wasps. The aliens' superior firepower meant little when they couldn't target the fast-moving human fighters effectively. Heirin O's computer warfare was causing chaos in the alien fleet. Their own targeting systems were turning against them. Ships fired on allies, defense systems shut down at critical moments, and communication between vessels broke down. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant Park, "alien fleet is showing signs of confusion. Their formation is breaking up. Now we press the advantage, Admiral Seo decided. All ships focus fire on the alien command vessels. Take out their leadership. The human swarm turned its attention to the largest alien ships. Hundreds of fighters and converted civilian vessels attacked the alien command ships from every direction. The aliens tried to respond, but their communications were disrupted and their formations scattered. One by one, alien command ships began to fall. Each victory cost many human lives, but the psychological effect on the alien fleet was devastating. These primitive humans were not only fighting back, they were winning. As the first day of battle ended, both fleets pulled back to assess damage. The aliens had lost nearly 60 ships and suffered damage to many more. Human losses were heavy too, but they had proven something important. Earth would not surrender. Humanity would fight, no matter the odds. And sometimes, fighting was enough to win. Admiral Yonsu Kwan studied the star map in her command center aboard the battleship Seoul's Honor. 3 months had passed since the first battle at Earth. The war had spread across human space, but something unexpected was happening. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy about other species rebelling against the Galactic Confederation. "Admiral," said her intelligence officer, Lieutenant Do-hyun Park, "we're receiving another message from the Kethvari resistance. They're asking for military support." The Kethvari were a species enslaved by the Confederation 200 years ago. When news of human resistance reached their homeworld, they had started their own rebellion. Now they were fighting for their freedom too. "What's their situation?" Admiral Kwan asked. "Bad, but they're learning fast. They've adopted human swarm tactics and are causing significant damage to Confederation forces in their sector." Admiral Kwan smiled. "Send them a support fleet, 50 ships and Commander Inho Bayek's Special Operations Team." "Sir, Earth Command hasn't approved offensive operations outside human space," Lieutenant Park warned. "Then it's good I'm not asking for permission," Admiral Kwan replied. "We've learned that defense alone isn't enough. Time to take this fight to them." Across the galaxy, the Confederation was discovering that their 3,000-year reign was cracking. Species that had served as slaves for centuries were remembering what freedom meant. The human example was spreading like wildfire through oppressed worlds. On Earth, strategic AI Sejong processed battle data from hundreds of engagements. The artificial intelligence had been named after a great Korean king, and it was revolutionizing space warfare. Unlike the static alien systems, Sejong learned from every battle and developed new tactics constantly. General Kang, the AI's synthesized voice, reported in the command bunker, "I have completed analysis of recent engagements. Recommendation: focus attacks on Confederation supply lines rather than direct fleet confrontation." General Kang studied the AI's tactical display. "Explain." "Confederation forces rely on centralized supply networks," Sejong continued. "Their ships cannot operate independently for extended periods. By destroying their supply bases, we force them to withdraw or face starvation." Engineer Bo Ram-yoon looked up from her workstation where she was designing new weapons. "Sejong is right. I've been studying captured Confederation technology. Their ships are incredibly advanced, but they're also incredibly dependent on regular maintenance and resupply. Like a luxury car," General Kang understood. "Amazing performance, but breaks down without constant care." "Exactly. Human ships are built to be independent. We can repair them with basic tools and salvaged parts. Confederation ships need specialized facilities and specific components." This insight changed human strategy. Instead of attacking alien fleets directly, human forces began targeting supply convoys, maintenance stations, and fuel depots. The results were dramatic. Confederation ships, cut off from their supply lines, began breaking down or retreating to secure areas. Commander Inho Bayek arrived in Kethvari space with his fleet, just as the local rebellion was facing defeat. The Kethvari were brave but inexperienced fighters. Confederation forces had surrounded their homeworld and were preparing to crush the revolt. "This is Commander Bayek to all Kethvari forces," he transmitted as his ships entered the system. Earth sends greetings to our fellow fighters for freedom. The Kethavari leader, a being called Thexmo, responded with obvious relief. Human Commander, we are grateful for your arrival, but we fear it may be too late. Confederation forces outnumber us greatly. Numbers don't matter if you know how to fight, Commander Bayek replied. Watch and learn. The human fleet immediately scattered into swarm formations. Instead of engaging the main Confederation fleet, they attacked the supply ships lurking at the edge of the system. Within hours, the alien fleet found itself without fuel, ammunition, or spare parts. Now we show them what desperate enemies can do, Commander Bayek ordered. Combined human and Kethavari forces swarmed the stranded Confederation ships. The aliens, accustomed to fighting defensive enemies, had no answer for the aggressive tactics. Their fleet was destroyed or driven away within days. How? Asked Thexmo in amazement. We fought them for months and gained nothing. You arrive and defeat them in days. We fight differently, Commander Beck explained. We don't try to minimize our losses. We try to maximize theirs. When you're fighting for your freedom, you can accept costs that your enemies cannot. The liberation of the Kethavari homeworld sent shockwaves through Confederation space. For the first time in their history, they had lost an entire slave world to rebellion. Worse, the rebellion was spreading. Diplomat Jaewon Shin worked secretly with resistance movements across the galaxy. His job was to coordinate rebellions and share human military tactics with oppressed species. The Vorthon system is ready to revolt, he reported to Earth Command. So are the mining colonies in the Katesh sector. The Confederation is losing control. President Lim listened to the reports with growing excitement. How many species are now in active rebellion? 17 species in open revolt, Diplomat Shin replied. Another 34 showing signs of unrest. The Confederation's slave system is collapsing. But the aliens were adapting too. First Speaker Veltar appeared on all communication channels with a new message. Attention all species, he said, his voice colder than before. The human infection has spread to several worlds. This rebellion will be crushed. Any species that continues to resist will face complete destruction. We will burn their worlds to ash rather than lose control. It was a threat unlike any the Confederation had ever made. For 3,000 years they had ruled through efficient control, not genocide. But humanity had pushed them to desperation. Admiral Kwan received the transmission aboard her flagship. Around her, other human commanders listened with grim faces. Sir, said Captain Minho Kim, they're threatening to destroy entire worlds, billions of innocent lives. Then we make sure they don't get the chance, Admiral Kwan replied. Signal all fleets. Operation Liberation begins now. We're not just fighting for human freedom anymore. We're fighting for the freedom of every enslaved species in the galaxy. Human fleets spread across Confederation space like a plague of freedom. They struck supply bases, liberated slave worlds, and destroyed Confederation infrastructure. Each victory inspired more rebellions. The industrial world of Rextar fell to a combined human-alien liberation force after a 3-week siege. The planet's massive factories, once used to build Confederation warships, were converted to produce weapons for the rebellion. This changes everything, Engineer Yoon reported excitedly to Earth Command. With Rextar's industrial capacity, we can build a real fleet. Not just converted civilian ships, but actual warships designed for combat. General Kang studied production reports. How long before we have a fleet that can challenge the Confederation directly? 6 months for the first squadron. A year for a full battle fleet. But they didn't have a year. The Confederation was mobilizing every ship they had for a massive counterattack. Intelligence reports showed them gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Sir, Lieutenant Park reported to Admiral Kwan, Confederation forces are massing at the Nexus system. Over 800 ships. They're planning to retake all the liberated worlds in one massive offensive. Admiral Kwan felt the weight of command. The rebellion had grown beyond anything they had imagined, but it was still fragile. If the Confederation could crush the main liberation fleet, they could retake the freed worlds and execute entire populations as examples. Send word to all allied forces. she decided. We meet them at Nexus. Every ship, every fighter, every species that wants to stay free. This will be the battle that decides the galaxy's future. Across Rebel space, the call went out. Human fleets turned toward Nexus. Kethvari ships joined the formation. Freed Vorthan raiders added their vessels. Dozens of species, some fighting together for the first time in their history, united under the banner of freedom. The Confederation had created the largest slave empire in galactic history, but they had never faced an empire of the free. They were about to learn the difference. Supreme Commander Changmin Ro stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Freedom's Dawn, watching the largest fleet in galactic history prepare for battle. Around his flagship, over 2,000 ships from 47 different species moved, in perfect formation toward the Nexus system. "Sir," reported Captain Sujin Kim, his second-in-command, "all Allied fleets report ready for combat. The Confederation fleet is waiting for us at the system's edge." Through the viewports, Commander Ro could see ships of dozens of designs. Sleek human vessels flew beside the crystal ships of the Kethvari. Massive Vorthan battleships cruised near the swift raiders of the newly liberated Zephyrian colonies. Each species had brought everything they had to this final battle. "Open a channel to all ships," Commander Ro ordered. His voice carried across space to thousands of crews from dozens of worlds. "This is Supreme Commander Ro to all Liberation Forces. Today, we face the largest fleet the Galactic Confederation has ever assembled. They come here believing that superior numbers will crush our rebellion and return you all to slavery." He paused, looking at the tactical display showing the enemy fleet. 800 massive Confederation warships waited in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. "They are wrong," Commander Ro continued. "We are not the same species that served them in fear for thousands of years. We have learned from humanity that there are things worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. Today we fight not just for our own worlds, but for every enslaved species in the galaxy." In the enemy fleet, First Speaker Veltar prepared his own forces for battle. The aliens had learned from their defeats and adapted their tactics. Instead of the predictable formations they had used before, they now fought more like humans, with flexible strategies and aggressive attacks. "All ships," Veltar broadcast. "These rebels have caused enough chaos. Today we end their rebellion and restore order to the galaxy. Show them the price of defying the Confederation." The battle began when both fleets opened fire at extreme range. Massive energy beams crossed space like deadly lightning. Ships on both sides exploded in brilliant flashes of light. But this battle was different from the early fights. The Liberation fleet didn't just swarm randomly like insects. They had learned discipline while keeping their aggressive spirit. Human tactical doctrine, refined by the AI Sejong and improved through dozens of battles, had spread to all allied species. Captain Sujin Kim led the first attack wave, commanding a mixed force of human fighters and Kethvari interceptors. All wings, pattern freedom. Attack their command ships first. The Liberation forces struck like a surgical knife rather than a hammer. Instead of attacking everything at once, they focused their entire fleet on small sections of the Confederation. Formation. Local superiority in numbers allowed them to overwhelm enemy positions before the aliens could respond. Meanwhile, tech specialist Hei Rin Oh coordinated cyber warfare from her command ship. She now led a team of hackers from multiple species, all using techniques developed by humans to disrupt enemy communications. "Initiating network intrusion," she reported as her fingers flew over alien control systems. "Injecting false targeting data into their fire control systems." The results were immediate. Confederation ships began firing at empty space, or worse, at each other. Their own advanced networking systems, designed to coordinate perfect attacks, became weapons turned against them. Deep in the enemy formation, the Confederation's ultimate weapon prepared to fire. The Galaxy's Fist was a fortress ship larger than most space stations, mounting weapons that could destroy entire fleets. It had never been used in battle because no enemy had ever required such firepower. "Charging main weapon," reported the ship's commander to First Speaker Veltar. "Ready to fire on your command." But Commander Nam's special forces had other plans. While the main battle raged, his teams had infiltrated the superweapon using captured Confederation shuttles. They moved through the massive ship like ghosts, planting explosives at critical points. Teams Alpha through Delta. Report status. Commander Nam whispered into his radio as his team crept through alien corridors. Alpha team in position at the main reactor, came the reply. Beta team ready at the weapon control center. Delta team has the command bridge wired for destruction. Gamma team ready at life support. Commander Nam smiled grimly. All teams execute in 30 seconds. Let's give them a demonstration of human engineering. The explosions came simultaneously from 4 different parts of the superweapon. Critical systems failed in cascade, and the mighty galaxy's fist began tearing itself apart from within. First Speaker Veltar watched in horror as his ultimate weapon exploded like a small star. The psychological impact on his fleet was devastating. If their most powerful ship could be destroyed, what hope did the rest have? All ships, withdraw to defensive positions, he ordered, but it was too late. The Liberation Fleet had gained momentum and pressed their advantage. Supreme Commander Rowe saw the enemy formation wavering. All ships, general advance, drive them back. What followed was the largest space battle in galactic history. 2,000 Liberation ships attacked 800 Confederation vessels in a running fight that stretched across the entire star system. Ships exploded like fireworks while fighters darted between capital vessels like angry wasps. The tide turned when the Vorthon contingent, led by battle leader Krexmo, broke through the Confederation's left flank. Their massive battleships, built for ramming attacks, drove deep into enemy formation. Liberation Fleet, this is Krexmo, the alien warrior broadcast. The enemy line is broken. Pour through the gap and drive them from this system. Allied ships streamed through the opening, attacking the Confederation fleet from behind while other forces pressed from the front. Caught between 2 fires, alien ships began surrendering or fleeing. First Speaker Veltar found himself aboard, the last functional Confederation command ship, surrounded by burning wrecks of his fleet. Over 600 ships had been destroyed or captured. His 3,000-year empire was crumbling around him. First Speaker, his communications officer, reported with a shaking voice. The rebel fleet is demanding our surrender. Veltar looked at the tactical display showing Liberation ships surrounding his position. For the first time in Confederation history, they had lost a major battle to their former slaves. Open a channel, he said quietly. Supreme Commander rose, face appeared on the screen. Behind him stood representatives from dozens of species, all united in their demand for freedom. First Speaker Veltar, Commander Rowe said formally, your fleet is destroyed and your empire is falling. I offer you the same choice you once gave humanity. Surrender and live, or continue fighting and die. Veltar stared at the human commander. You would spare us after all we have done? We're not like you, Commander Rowe replied. We don't believe in slavery or genocide. Surrender your remaining forces and we'll discuss terms. It took 3 more hours of fighting before the last Confederation ship surrendered or fled. When the battle ended, the Liberation Fleet had won the most decisive victory in galactic history. Ambassador Young-hee Park arrived at the Nexus system 1 week later to negotiate the peace treaty. She found representatives from 87 species waiting to discuss the future of the galaxy. The Galactic Confederation is finished, she announced at the first meeting. The question now is what comes next. The negotiations took months, but the result was revolutionary. The galaxy would be reorganized as the Free Worlds Alliance, with each species maintaining complete independence while cooperating as equals. No more slaves, no more tribute, no more forced submission. Elder Council leader Myung-Soo Lee represented Earth at the signing ceremony. As he put his signature on the treaty that freed the galaxy, he spoke for all humanity. Today, we prove that freedom is not just a human concept. It lives in the heart of every thinking being. The galaxy demanded our submission, but we chose to fight instead. Now, every species has that same choice. First Speaker Veltar, representing the defeated Confederation, signed the surrender documents with resignation. We ruled for 3,000 years, he said quietly. How did you defeat us so completely? Ambassador Park looked at him with something that might have been pity. You ruled through fear and expected obedience. We fought for freedom and earned loyalty. In the end, free beings will always defeat slaves, no matter how advanced their technology. 100 years later, the galaxy remembered the species that had said no to tyranny. Human exploration ships carried a simple message to newly discovered civilizations. Welcome to the galaxy. You have a choice to make. You can remain isolated and independent, or you can join the Free Worlds Alliance as equals. We're here to help you choose, not to force your decision. The Great Rebellion was over, but its legacy lived on. Earth's declaration of total war had become the foundation of galactic freedom. In schools across 1,000 worlds, children learned about the species that refused to kneel and inspired a galaxy to stand up. And in the archives of the Free Worlds Alliance, preserved for all time, was humanity's first response to the Galactic Confederation. We would rather die fighting than live as slaves. It had become the motto of free beings everywhere.